You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
All right, good evening, my fellow foxes and foxettes. How the devil are we all? Welcome along to LTID TV. We are live on Twitter and on YouTube. I'm avoiding Facebook at the moment because it's a pain in the posterior. We're live, that's where we are. Thank you for joining us and watching. Please do join in with the comments, but as I always say, please keep them respectful and clean. And if you're listening on podcast, thank you for lending me your ears, whether that be YouTube podcast, Google, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or Uncle Tom Cobley and them all. And of course, smart speakers, just ask it to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die, and you will hear our dulcet tones. And of course, if you want to, you can follow us on all our socials. They're all listed there. Either LTID TV, most of them are, or Leicester Till I Die TV. And TikTok, we're putting some of our funniest clips. Well, I say funniest clips. It's about as funny as Philip Schofield at the moment. But, you know, put some of our funniest clips up. Although TikTok didn't like the fact that we cut somebody off for saying Scott Parker, and apparently it's gone against their community guidelines. Yes, I know what you're thinking. TikTok have community guidelines. Oh, yes, they do. Going on the bottom there, you'll see a list of all our members. $1.99 of your good English pounds a month will get you all of that as listed there. And next season, we are going to be doing some members-only shows as well. So that's to look forward to. And all you need to do is click on one of those two things there. As you can see on the screen, one of them is directly under on YouTube, under the description, and one of them is in the full description itself. You've been waiting for it. It's here. We've finally done it. We are ready to go. Our new channel. If you like your quizzes, we're going to have the Big Fat Leicester quiz still here because I'm big and fat and I support Leicester, so it's as good a reason as any. But if you already followed Brad's old channel, which was Top 10 Battles, then you've automatically transferred over to our new sister channel, which was Brad's channel. It has now become Leicester Till I Die, the quiz channel. And we've got loads and loads of quizzes coming up there, so do keep a lookout for them at all times, basically. I don't know what I'm saying. I need some help, so let's get him in. One in a minute, I'll press the right button. There we go. You know, ladies, you've been screaming for him. You were saying why you've got him back and where's he gone to? Well, he went on holiday, you know, and I'm not going to argue with this guy. Your own introduction music, Josh. Good evening, sir.
I don't know if many ladies are screaming for me, Chris, but thanks for the compliment.
Oh, what can I say? Well, maybe the missus. Maybe Mrs. was asking where are you. Maybe that was that night you said, I'm going on Chris's channel and she never saw you. I don't know. I didn't drop you in it, mate. Welcome along to Brad, who is our newest member. Thank you very much, young man. And the Blue Fox. Evening, Chris. Mate, why was Dan being a creep? I don't know. I didn't know he was. There we go. You have to explain that one, mate. You have to explain that one. Or ask him yourself next time he's in, which will probably be later on this week. Look, we're still sort of dissecting the fact, and I think we've all accepted the fact now that we've gone down a division, Josh. I mean, I've sort of updated all the sort of logos, and I've got the championship tables ready for the website and things like that. It's like the cool, light of reality. But the Leicester Mercury on Leicestershire Live have been putting a bit of a questionnaire up. I thought, let's have a look and we'll go through it. And we've not asked you this before, so we'll go through sort of your thoughts on last season and the upcoming season. But the first one that they start with, just to show look at the wonders of modern technology, there we go. Who was responsible for Leicester's relegation? I mean, they've put here a list to work off, which is the owner and the board, director of football recruitment team, players, Brendan Rodgers, or of course, as he's better known, or Dean Smith. What are your thoughts on sort of is there an ultimate responsibility or is it collective?
I think it's a collective. I'll be honest. I don't really place blame on Dean Smith at all. I think he would dealt a pretty bad hand, to be honest. He were on a hide into nothing. The time he got, he couldn't really change anything. The things he did try and change, again, he only had about a month and a half, 2 months or so to try and turn it all around, and by then it was far too late. It's the collective, Rodgers, the board, obviously the owners and director of football, mate. It was just an absolute. The whole season, as we all know, an absolute shambles from top to bottom. Lots of things we weren't told. Things we were told. Vital information came far too late, so fans were in the lurch. But the board and Rudkin didn't act quick enough to get rid of Rodgers. Again, didn't leave themselves enough time to get somebody to come in to steady the ship and avoid relegation. With a team on paper, mate, we should never have been down there. But as we all know from watching us over the season, it's no surprise we're down there because the players that, although the season before last finished 8th, which in hindsight, at the time we were thinking, God, how we finished 8th because we were poor that season, to be honest. So it's just a collective for me, mate. From top to bottom, it's been an absolute train wreck.
Yes, I mean, like you say, I think last season finishing 8th in the European semi-final did not sort of somehow this bad the season was. A bit like West Ham this season, they seem to be doing everything but like us, but a season behind. But they've had a bad season, and yet they've avoided relegation, and they're in a final tomorrow. But do you think that Hop was kept informed? Because I mean, we know he's had a lot on his plate. He's trying to, along with his brother, who's the vice chairman, obviously, but they've also got the main King Power company to look after. And I don't think he was there as much as we've seen him in the past. Yes, he was towards the end because I think the fans probably sort of thought, well, come on, where's Nero while the club's burning, sort of thing. But do you think he was kept informed enough by the likes of John Rudkin and Susan Whelan?
Maybe. It's hard to say, really. I mean, I think Rudkin for the last few seasons. Decision making has been really poor, and I think we're bearing the brunt of that now with certain players' contracts running down, and we're allowing them to go for no money. As you've seen, the released players is, with Tielemans, I think we at the time we sort of tried to offer him a deal because we knew he'd leave anyway, so we wanted to make sure we got some money out of him. I think that's his own doing. But other players, you think. The money wasted on some absolute crap, garbage. Whether I think some of them were Rodgers signings. I think Vestergaard was, and Bertrand was a Rodgers signing. But ultimately,
sorry, always puts a shiver down my spine when those two names are mentioned.
but ultimately, transfer dealings and the like. As much in the modern game, it boils down to director of football, and I think it's just been an absolute it's been an absolute shambles. Other than that, it's hard to say, mate. I'd like to think he was well informed, but having said that, I suppose even if he wasn't, surely he'd been able to see the absolute mess we were in and the way we were playing and how stubborn Rodgers was, and I don't really know. I mean, even if he wasn't, it's sort of the case. Well, we know Rudkin's going to stay on for another season. He's not going to get rid of him. He seems pretty untouchable. So regardless of whether he was told or not, he clearly trusts him, which is
He does have a lot
scary.
of faith in Rudkin for some reason. But do you think? I mean, I said the other day, there's the old sort of sack the board, but I'm trying to differentiate top and the board and put them in two different piles and give him the benefit of the doubt of yes, he made mistakes at the start of the season, not keeping us informed by FFP. But surely Susan Whelan should have been ringing him up and saying, "This isn't getting any better." We've got all these injuries at the training ground and training ground. She should have. And now she's going to be, conducting an inquiry into what's gone wrong.
Well, and that's the scary thing. They say there's going to be an inquiry, but you'd assume that Whelan, Rudkin, all the other members sort of know what's gone on. So how can you have an inquest when you know full well throughout the season what's happened? I don't really understand it unless Top's leading the inquest and ruling with an iron fist and saying, listen, what went on? As you say, King Power's his bread and butter. He's got that comes first and foremost. As much as we all like to think Leicester City's, is his first port of call. Really, it's not. Unless that's going to happen, again, nothing's really going to change. They can look into it as much as they want, but they've had the last 9 months to see how bad it's gone, but by the time they make decisions, it was far too late. So I can't really see. I think things like this have come out to try and appease the fans and sort of try and con us all into thinking, oh yeah, things are getting sorted. When, to be honest with you, mate, unless things that change in the next few weeks regarding, not a complete overhaul, because I think as much as we'd all like it to happen regarding, director of football and such, it's not realistic, really. I think that sort of thing is going to take time. The next few weeks will really tell us about, how much Paul Rudkin's actually got over the club, which personally I think he's got far too much.
Yeah, I agree. A word that's sort of been popping up quite a bit is complacency. Are we almost sort of just a case of like, well, we're not going to get relegated?
I believe they firmly believe that right up until probably the last month of the season, when as fans, we all sat back and thought we are really in the shit. As I say, a couple of months ago, I accepted relegation, mate. I thought it was going to happen. I couldn't really see a change in playing style. Players didn't look like they were really pulling the socks up. Even the victory against Wolves, I thought we won that by the skin of the teeth. Really, we didn't look brilliant. Having said that, all season, all victories. I know we beat Villa 4-2, we beat Spurs 4-1. We didn't really look great in them games either, to be honest. I think it was just because the other team was so poor. And it's true, mate. It really is. It just all sort of come far too late. It really did. I could, as daft as it sounds, like I sat on holiday last week and obviously I had the Sunday the West Ham game, and we won, but we went down. And I sat there on Tuesday, and it hit me, and I was like, "Shit, yeah, we got relegated, didn't we?" And I could believe it, but I couldn't believe it because of how the last nine years have gone, and just the collapse, mate. It's mental, really. It's absolutely.
You youngsters don't remember the bad times, But it's today. Yesterday and today we're being linked with Enzo Maresca, I think it's pronounced, Pep's number 2 or number 3 at. I think he's a first team coach, so hopefully he's better than Adam Sadler was. Obviously, he's come from the Pep school. He's had a lot of experience. Celtic apparently going in for him this week, which is great. It's all he needs just before the Champions League final. But what sort of manager? I mean, we're talking a different sort of, I think, manager to what we would have looked for had we stayed up. Whether we can still get Potter or not, who knows? I mean, do we need an experienced campaigner who's run promotion before, which, in fairness, Dean Smith has? Do we want somebody that's successful overseas but hasn't had any success in England? Which, let's be honest with you, Potter hadn't when he first came. Or do we need an experienced but inexperienced homegrown coach, which you could argue to a degree Martin O'Neill was? Or a bit of everything?
It'd be nice if we had a bit of everything, really. It's hard to say, really. I mean, I'd like a manager to come in and be given time, but we can see that, you know, there's a project being built, and, you know, the players we're bringing in are buying into what we're trying to do. Whether that be a couple of seasons in the Championship, you know, first season, I don't know, we finish mid-table, second season, playoffs, and then third season, we go on to win it. I'd take that personally, because you sort of see yourself going in the right direction, and
Yes.
you've got a manager in charge who is instilling something in the players, brings in players that want to actually play for the club and take us, you know, back to the Premier League. And personally, I'd like to. If we want to push, which I'm sure we all do want to do, first season back in the Championship, push for and fight for promotion, I think, you know, you'd want an experienced manager who's been there and done it. Now, I know a lot of people are slagging Scott Parker off. He's not my first choice at all, so don't shoot me on this. Don't worry.
No, I'm not going to shoot you. I'm just going to say,
Bell end.
sorry, you've just fallen into our bell end group. No, I'm stopping you there. I am not having any talk about that cardigan wearing useless piece. Yes, people are saying he's got Fulham promoted. Yes, he got Bournemouth. Of course he did. I won't deny that. But he also got his team, beaten 9-0 by Liverpool. He also, and if you think Brendan Rodgers threw people under the bus, you should see what he did. That's why he basically lost the job. No, I know, because yes, all right, he could get us up, but he's just as likely to bring us straight back down again.
That's the thing. He's not my first choice at all, but having heard some of the names we're actually being linked with, he wouldn't be. You know, if we were to appoint him over, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather have him over Dean Smith, which I think we've all got to sort of come to the conclusion and the realisation that Dean Smith's got a really good chance of getting this job. Now, I'm not saying Dean Smith's he's not done a terrible job, and as I say, I think he's been dealt a bad hand. But like I say, Scott Parker in a sort of knows the Championship. I get what you're saying, and I think if we came in and he took us up, then you're sort of thinking, right, he failed at Fulham in the Premier League. He failed at Bournemouth in the Premier League. You say he failed at Bournemouth. I know, like, he got the sack in the end because he opened his mouth, which is, you know, it's by the by. But he would. I wouldn't be absolutely distraught if he got the job. But having said that, I'd rather have him over Dean Smith.
No, I can't believe you're saying this, John.
I'd rather have him over Steven Gerrard.
Oh well, I mean, I don't. You punch drunk here. Have you been in too many fights, Tyson?
Again, but he's not my first choice. But of all the options, I don't think he'd be as bad as everybody believes.
Oh, he would be. I mean, as you know, I live down just outside Bournemouth, and I've got one of my mates down here who runs up the Cherries and all departments. And they absolutely hate him. They said the only job he could do was a bin man, and he'd probably drop half the rubbish on the floor. I mean, Dean Smith for me, I don't know. I mean, I say from the start, would we have welcomed him back so much had he not had Greg Shakespeare with him? You know. I'm just not with Dean Smith. He basically what Thomas Franks is living on at Brentford at the moment is what he put in place, a bit like Pearson and Ranieri. he got Aston Villa promoted. He made Jamie. No, he didn't. He made Jack Grealish a £1 million player. He did keep them up one season. I don't know whether he's the ideal long-term project, but he might be the manager to bring us back up because he knows that division and he knows it well. It is very awkward about do we. I don't particularly want somebody that's not got the experience in those lower divisions. Which, in fairness, Enzo Mascari has got that experience in lower divisions here and abroad. But whether that's the sort of football that he was obviously going to bring that Pep plays is the right sort of football for the second tier is obviously the question. Or do we go for something like the Ipswich coach that everybody's talking about, the Blackburn coach that's done it? I mean, well, this is why we don't own a football club, isn't it? I mean, Scott says here, Josh, would you have Parker over Neil Lennon? I wouldn't have either of them personally. And I'm guessing you, I don't know, what would you say on that one, Josh?
I'd say so, yeah. As much as Neil Lennon's a legend of the club, and I'm not doubting his management career because I think he's had management-wise had a decent career. He's done well at Celtic, he got Hibs promoted and such. But it's Scottish football.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have Scott Parker over Neil Lennon. Yeah, of course I would.
I mean, it's always a problem, I think, with a legend coming back to the club. It's like saying, would we take Steve Claridge? He's managed at Weymouth and at Salisbury. Wow, And Neil Lennon. I'm not sure if it was Bolton or wherever, but he didn't last very long in English football. Wayne Rooney, I wouldn't necessarily be against it because again, he's done that division. But I mean, let's be honest with you. You could put 30 people in the room, and we'd all come up with 30 different names of who we want as manager. So, whoever it is, they've got to get this one right. Because I think, and I said this to Brad early. So very quickly, your thoughts would be interested on this. Would you sooner have a straight return to the Premier League, but we struggle to stay up again? So a bit like saying Norwich or Watford, we come straight back up, but we may or may not stay up. Or would you sooner us have a period where we may be in the second tier for 1, 2, possibly 3 seasons, but then come up like we did when we came up under Pearson and really give it a go and be good enough to maybe finish mid-table?
I'd take the second option, mate. I'd take staying in the Championship for a few seasons, then going up and, as you say, sort of doing like a Brentford and, like, as you say, finishing mid-table, but each season after that, signing the right players, getting a decent infrastructure in place, you've got the right manager in charge, and you slowly progress each season, push on first, ninth, eighth, seventh. Staff didn't sound. But having said that, if we hadn't had the seasons that we have done for the last, few years, FA Cup wins, Premier League wins, European, and we'd have sort of been languishing or flirting relegation most seasons, I'd take the first option. So I think it's because, we've seen the success and you think, right, a few years out of that now and sort of stabilising and then go again. That's probably why I'm saying that.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I don't want us to be what we were in the sort of the 90s under the Craig Levines and the Martin Allens and get all these players in that are coming to Leicester because they think, it's a good club, it's a big club, they've got this great training ground. But I'm sort of 39, but, I'm a name and they know, when we used to get the likes of Les Ferdinand, Dennis Wise, Martin Keown. I mean, they were all way past the sell-by date, but they were names and people, we all as fans were like, wow, Les Ferdinand's playing for us, but it wasn't particularly that good for us. But as Scott says, yeah, Wayne Rooney did help the Rams to relegation, Scott, but they did have how many points? Was it 12, 15 points deducted for FFP? And I think without that, they wouldn't have actually gone down. 21 points. There we go.
Him and Jamie Vardy don't get on, do they? So.
Oh, that is a point. That is a. Well, we don't know if the wives don't. Let's be honest with you. But, the next one. This is I just not sure where to go with this one. But the next one, it's only a small, it's very small there to fit it all on. But basically, do you have faith in the board to keep? Sorry, do you have faith in the board to make the right decisions to earn or fight for promotion?
Oh, God. I think they've got no choice but to get it right now. You're sort of hoping that last season was a learning curve for them, but it should have never have got to this position. So I can't really give an answer on that, to be honest, because don't get me wrong, they made monumental cock-ups last season, but in the past, they have made decent decisions. You just sort of hoping that they're not sleeping on the fact that, I'm not blowing smoke up our own arse here, but going into the Championship, us and Leeds, and I suppose Southampton in a way as well, we're going to be massive favourites to go straight back up, and you don't want them to think, well, by rights, really, we should walk the division because you get found out. So,
yeah,
I'd say if you ask me that question in 4 or 5 weeks when we're well into pre-season, I might be able to give you a definitive answer, but it's hard to say at the minute, really. Yeah. Without the manager being appointed, and then you could sort of say, right, this is the direction we're going. Yeah, we trust them to get it right. It's hard to say at the minute.
For me, I don't think I do, and the reason I'm saying that is because these are the people that got us. And when I'm saying the board here, I'm not talking about Top, because I do think his eyes were off the ball, and you've got to give him a little bit of a, yeah, we understand why. But I do think he was let down by the Susan Whelans, John Rudkins, Nevilles, and all those. And to me, they were more about turning up at FA dinners and getting doctorates from, De Montfort University than they were about running a football club. Because if they were, we wouldn't be in this position now. And I said ages ago that I was quite, in a position where I'd sooner have a club in the second division than have no club at all because we've gone out of business. And you might be too young, but the Leeds United, I think it was went under Risdale and O'Leary, got into a Champions League semi-final. They went for that dream, but they hocked all the crown jewels, and family jewelry to get there, and it all went wrong. And then I'm looking at these are the people. We are losing 7 players. Those 7 players cost over £100 million, and we're losing each and every one of them for nothing. Same with Slimani as well. 40 million for him. He was mismanaged so much, we lost him for nothing. So I can't trust them, is the honest answer. Do I trust the board? And my big answer, and I'm being honest, is no. I mean, Michael David says here, Rudkin is the problem. But if Rudkin is the problem, why isn't Susan Whelan saying to Top, look, I know he's your favourite, I know you've got a great relationship, but he doesn't know what he's doing. Why isn't somebody has the canonas to stand up and go, no, that's wrong, Top?
Maybe they are, but maybe Top just really trusts him. We don't know, unfortunately. And as you say, I think if there's ever a season sort of for Top to sit back and go, hang on, something's gone drastically wrong here. It's this season. We got relegated. And if this doesn't push Rudkin out, which, as I said earlier, I don't think it's going to. I think he's going to be here for the longevity. Nothing will get him out.
He does trust him. And that's the thing. Sorry, I had to read this 2 or 3 times. I thought he said that. Sorry, you hadn't been in my dreams. I thought. How do you know you haven't? You know what I mean? That's a little bit scary. As I said to Dan the other night.
Let it go, let it go.
Oh, son, I know. Oh, right. I've got to say, I am torn on that one. The next one, which is, which player would you most like to keep amid an expected fire sale? We know we're going to have to sell Maddison, probably Barnes, but the list that they've listed here is James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, Jamie Vardy, Wilfred Ndidi, or Kelechi Iheanacho?
It's an odd one. I'd say a person. I'm going to take Vardy out of the equation because I've got a feeling he's going to stay. Now I know he's going to be on mega money, but I think he'll give us another season. So I'm going to take him out of that. I'd keep Harvey Barnes.
Really? I mean, I
Yeah.
can see what you mean, and I certainly wouldn't want him to go because I think he could cause damage in the Championship. But unfortunately, I think him and Maddison are our two most saleable assets. Now, I'm surprised. I mean, if Brad's watching now, Brad has probably just choked on his cornflakes because this is probably about his breakfast time. Because, of course, there's only one love for Brad. I mean, this is his man love, and I've got this especially, and I wish he was here, but he wasn't. But Brad, if you're watching, this is for you, mate. Oh, I can see Brad now going, "Hell, my hero." Indeed, for me, he's had it. Maddison is going. I think Barnes is going. Jamie Vardy, I think if he goes, it will be Sheffield Wednesday. If it's not Sheffield Wednesday, he will have the last season with us. So for me, it would be Kelechi Iheanacho. I've got to be honest with you. If City make a one marquee signing this summer, in which position would you want them to play?
Winger
Sorry?
on the
Winger.
wing.
We got Albrighton back.
We have, and I genuinely believe. I think he's not going to be a big player for us, but he's a sort of player you want in the squad when you're in a division like the Championship because he's a battler. He always does 110%. You're on loan at West Brom for the last 4 or 5 months of the season last season. I don't think he's at the world like there, but he's always been a good player for us. You know, his legs are going, we know that, but he's always committed. You know what you're going to get from him. I just think, I mean, if Barnes does leave, we definitely need a winger regardless because then we literally don't have any, really. Yeah. Apart from Albrighton, but you can't expect him to start 2 games every week because the Championship is so demanding. So I would like a marquee signing to be a winger. I think that'd be a big one for us. I think you know what. I know we struggled defensively this season, but I think next season defensively, I think we'll be all right. As daft as it sounds, I genuinely believe. I think we'll have the centre back pairing of it's looking like Fass and Suter. To be honest, I think Suter's suited to the Championship.
It's like welcome back, isn't it, to him?
and I think it will suit Fass a bit more as well. I just think attacking wise, I'd like to see a winger. As I say, Barnes hit 13 goals last season, with 13 or 14 goals in the Premier League. So if he is to leave, we need somebody to come in and hopefully match that sort of output in the Championship.
It's a good point. I mean, like you say, we might have to have 2 because we might need to have one both sides if Barnes goes. As Andrew said, Andrew's gone midfield general captain. Terry says, why play with wingers? And I was just thinking that, the new manager coming might want to go 4-4 bloody 2, it might not need wingers, but most teams these days do play with wingers. Like you said, the goalkeeper, I think I think Ward's going to go, and I think we should let him go and try and get a career somewhere else. I think maybe he's gone to the point of not coming back now. Stolchek, I think, was at Preston, has apparently not done too bad as there, so he might come in as the number 2. We've still got Smithies, so goalkeeper. The defence, like you say, Piera, we've got Justin back if we manage to hold on to him. Nobody's mentioned him yet. And then, like I say, Sutar, Faze, possibly, Thomas as well, obviously, Castagna. So we've still got okay there, haven't we? Defensive
Yeah,
midfielders, we've exercised the extra years extension on Hamza Chow.
Chowdhury.
Yeah, so we've got, and I'm pleased with that because he was typical Brendan Rodgers saying how good he was, and then we never saw him again. So yes, to me, yeah, if we are going to have wingers, and I pretty much think we will be doing because that's the way modern teams play. But I could see us needing the two, unfortunately, you know. But anyway, the next one is now which academy player. Now I was going to struggle with this. I'm not going to lie because let me get it right. There we go. Which academy player? I mean, there's some good names in there. The ones that you know, obviously, Casey McAteer. I think he's been on the bench a couple of times this season. Sammy Braybuck and Will Alves was fortunately both got the really bad ACL injuries, didn't they? Ben Nelson, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the other two because they've been put in there, I'm sure, just to try and cause me troubles. But Wanya Markal and Tawanda as well. Anybody that's as far as I'm going. First name terms, me and Tawanda. Good old Tawanda.
I'd say I think we're going to see a lot of Braybrook. To be honest, I think this might be a season where he's very much a rotation sort of player. I think he's going to make quite a lot of substitute appearances for us. I'd like to see a lot more Will Alves. As you say, I know he got a really bad injury last season, so whether that's maybe pushed him back another season or not to break into the first team, it remains to be seen. But from what we have seen of him so far, I remember he came on against Watford in the FA Cup. Not last season, season before, and he looked really good. He's got good feet. I think he could be a bit frustrating at times, from what I've heard, because he likes to keep hold of the ball quite a lot. But I think if we can get him back fit, I'd like to see a lot more of him. I think he could be. I think he could become. Might be taking 2 or 3 seasons, but I think he's got the ability and the potential to become quite a big player for us, I believe.
I mean, the youngsters. Andrew's just said there quickly. Get the back. I think he was at. I think he went to a League One club because he didn't actually do anything at the clubs that he went to on loan in the Championship. So I think we had to loan him to a League One for him to actually be sort of picked to get any game time. I think, to be honest with you, he's had too many loans now. I don't think we'll see George Hurston. You never hear it. He never hear him mentioned or as a future prospect. I think his time, unfortunately, has come and gone, and I think he will be leaving the club. But as Terry said, there is the American we signed on loan at Leuven, or the rumours are he'll probably have another season there. And I think we've got, although the youngsters were relegated, I mean, when those youngsters came on against Watford last season in the FA Cup, they did all right. They did better than the first teams that came back and played Forest the following round and we got knocked out. So I think we've got the talent there. And I'm not bothered for seeing big names that are coming in for one last payday and taking a drop in the league to carry on playing. I'd sooner have young, hungry players that want to play for us and want to play for the shirt.
100%, mate. 100%. Just give him a go. I mean, even if you just just add 2 or 3 into your match day squads one week, take them out the next week, add them in again the week after, just to give them a bit of experience, bring them on for 20, 25 minutes each game, and then see what happens. It's a division where you're going to need every player you can get really to turn up and put a shift in, because it's relentless. Saturday, Tuesday, near enough every week, and everybody's going to have a part to play, without doubt.
Oh, definitely. And you know what? It's probably the right league, if you like, to bed them in. They couldn't be bedded in last season, and the season before, Rodgers was sort of saying, I'm going to, give some of the youngsters a chance at the end, and then he didn't, because I think he saw that you needed to move up the table a little bit. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting season with the players, and why not give them a chance? You know what I mean? It's what's the point of training them, spending the money on them, bringing them through, and then just never playing them? It's a waste of time, really, isn't there? You know.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, and like you say, it's we've got all these facilities. We've got this amazing training ground at Seagrave, and you'd like to think each season, we another one would come through, another youngster would come through and make the squad, and even if they don't play every week, just get them involved with the first team and see what happens. Again, it's a season where you're not expecting them to play every single week, but you want them to play a part, and as you say, just grow on from there, really.
Yes, yeah. Scott says there in regards to Hurst, maybe worth telling him. He has struggled in most clubs. He's been out to loan on exactly. Terry says there's a couple of good girls, but they managed to stay up and we didn't. The men didn't, so well done to the girls. But they have released 12 of their players today, so I'm not sure how many they've got left, to be honest with you. What is your biggest concern about City at the moment? Obviously, we're in the Championship. That's a big concern. But the options they give us here is lack of faith in the board, ticketing issues, lack of faith in the players, or club's finances.
I'm going to give my own answer on this, to be honest with you. It's the lack of information.
You go for it, mate.
It's the lack of information we get and how slow we seem to be making decisions. And ideally for me, mate, I mean, I think we need the new manager in by the end of the week, without doubt. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen until maybe middle of next week, but I wanted somebody in early, so it shows that the board they've looked into it. They've said, right, this is the man. He can come in, see what players he wants, see what players he don't want. Got his transfer list sorted, players he wants to bring in, get the players in back early for pre-season. But again, it looks like it's just sort of going to be, 6-7 weeks left pre-season. We're sort of thinking, twiddling the thumbs. Oh yeah, and he's. I'll be honest with you, mate. I genuinely believe. I hope I'm wrong. I think after all this and all the speculation, I think it's going to be Dean Smith who we appoint.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think they could be worse. I mean, we've been linked with Steven Gerrard.
Oh, yeah.
They could be worse. And people keep suggesting Scott Parker for some reason. It's a very good point, and I think we have gone. I mean, when you look last season, because of Top, and I say this, and I said this last season, Top did not come out with that reason about the FFP, which was a very good reason, and we would have all understood, but he didn't come out until deadline day, when it was too late to do anything. It was almost like he was too scared to come out. Well, it's your club, mate. Yeah, we can't do anything. Yeah, we can go and say Top out and all this. We wouldn't likely to, but we could do. It doesn't mean you're going to have to go. And I think he was a lot quicker in getting out his sort of post relegation statement. It was a bit like woe is me in parts. Like, well, I've been getting nasty messages. Well, yeah, that goes with the position, mate. I know we love you to bits, but it doesn't mean I love you if I criticise you. All right, some people obviously gone over the board. We're not the club we used to be. That's the thing. We're not this family club that, we used to feel part of the club, and I don't anymore. I feel there's a distance. Yeah. They have become a Premier League club, but it was like the fans weren't good enough. You'd used to be able to ring up and ask something, and you get an answer. Now, thankfully, I've got a very good contact at the club, Jim, who looks after the helpline, and he on his own is excellent, but trying to get any answers or trying to get any help or support out the club, it's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be, and I think you're right. That not necessarily family atmosphere, but that, and I hate using this because Holly used it and everybody's using it about this morning, the big this morning family. But we need to get that Leicester City family back and that feel that we're part of the club. because let's be honest with you, during COVID, everybody said they missed us, but it seems
Yeah.
like now that they couldn't give a toss about us.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Chris. As fans, we can't be told everything. We understand that. There's ins and outs that are very sensitive, which we're never going to get told, which is fair enough. But again, there's just when the going's good. When the going's good, people can't tell you enough. We're going to get the stadium expanded. Seagrave training grounds coming on now. It's completed. This is great. We're bringing back this, bringing back that. When it's all gone to shit, nobody wants to tell you anything, and we found that out this season. It's been very quiet, very secretive, and that's what I don't like about the club, mate. And you're exactly right. It just seems like there's a bit of a not disconnect from top, because I'd never call for his head or anything. For me, he's an absolute god for what he's done for us as a club. He's made mistakes, of course he has. But there is just seems, as you say, mate. There's a disconnect from the club and as you say, the fans at the minute, where I can't really quite put my finger on what it is. But again, as I say, I think a lot of that is down to a complete lack of communication. It really is.
This is, I mean, Scott says here, that company didn't join Burnley to the 14th of June last season. I think it was different last season because everything was different because of the World Cup being in the season. But I get what you're saying, Scott. I think the thing that worries me is that when we got rid of Quell, we knew we'd got, we were in talks with Rodgers. We knew that could be happening. Rodgers went, and this is the thing that got me. I could not believe that we went through all that season up until 8 games to go, or 10 games to go, sorry, because Sadler had 2, 10 games to go, thinking, who do we get in if we get rid of Rodgers? There was no plan. We used to say, that Rodgers didn't have a plan B. Top and Rudkin and Whelan definitely never had a plan B, because as soon as he went, they should have said, this is who we want. And then they should have wasted another 2 weeks with that plonker Sadler taking the team out, who seemed to think that his best plan was to do exactly the same as Rodgers did. And I just hope that they'd had enough time and they weren't relying on Dean Smith maybe keeping us up, and then they're saying, yeah, let's give him the job because he's kept us up.
I think you're right, mate. And again, it just goes to show that there was no contingency plan in place. It seemed like, at the time where, Rodgers was sacked and then Dean Smith weren't even a thought until he actually got the job. It was literally like 2 days before, all of a sudden, Dean Smith's in. Everybody was like, hang on, what's going on here? His name hadn't even been mentioned. Do you know what I mean? So I think them really sort of grasping for straws and thinking, shit, we need to get somebody in quick, because it just goes to show, mate, they didn't believe we'd go down up until that point. That they still believe we'd stay up with ease, and look what happened. It cost us.
I think they sleepwalk into relegation. I'm just looking at Sky Sports transfer. It's all Premier League. It depresses me. The last question here, then. Where do you think City will finish next season? I know that's the sort of, because we don't know what players we're going to have, what manager we're going to have, but
at the minute, if we can keep hold of the players who I think we've possibly got a chance of keeping hold of, that's not including Maddison, or as I said earlier, I'd like to keep Barnes, but I agree with you, Chris. I think he'll go. There's no reason why, with the right players brought in, I think we should make playoffs comfortably. But I think out of all the 3 teams coming down, I think we're in the worst position at the minute. I think Southampton will have a good season next season, because they brought in players last season, young players, which I think will do well in the Championship for them. I think their squad sort of suits the Championship, really. I think they'll do well. And I think Leeds, I think Leeds will adapt better than we have because they were only back in the Premier League for 2 or 3 seasons, and then they've gone back down. I think we're worse equipped at the minute. So I'd say I think we're shoo-in for playoffs. Whether we'd go up or not, I don't know. But having said that, we could have this conversation a week before the season starts. We've signed X, Y, and Z. We've got a manager all the fans want. Everything's been good in pre-season. Then I'd say, right, we're shooing for automatic promotion. So difficult question to answer at the minute.
It is. Now you're not going to be surprised to see that I disagree with everything.
Your opinion is wrong.
No, it's not. Of course, it's not. I think Southampton could be in trouble of actually going down again. If I'm honest with you, I think they are just in a mess as a club. Leeds are on the point, I think, of being taken over, and it all depends how their new owner looks at it. If he does a bit of a Forest or a Bowie and just buys and buys and buys, then yeah. But like you say, I think they'll be mid-table. Unfortunately, I think we're going to struggle. I mean, Scott's gone 11th, 12th. I think it could be 8th or 9th for us, to be honest with you. Ray from Canada, he's going double relegation. I don't think it will be that bad because I think there's going to be worse teams. I think certainly Plymouth that's come up will struggle, and there's a couple of others I think that will as well. Huddersfield now, Warnock's gone, but I think the fans are expecting us to do a Burnley. And who knows, if we'd spoken to Dan, and we've got Dan on the show tomorrow night, and we're going to be going through all the Championship clubs and what sort of dangers they possess and whether they could, how good they are, because obviously he's played them all, well, apart from those that have come up. But if we'd spoken to Dan this time last season, he was not expecting to come back up in the way that it did. He didn't have company, like Scott said earlier. He wasn't there. They didn't know what was going on. And then suddenly they got company in. They started bringing all these players in. They started getting rid of a load of deadwood. That could easily happen to Leicester. But my worry is that people will expect us to do that. And if we don't, it could again get toxic down at the KP.
Agreed. Again, it's just such an art. It's a hard question to answer without knowing what's going to happen through the season. It's a tricky one for me. Like as I say, and this is I'm literally going off the players we've got at the minute that are still here. I'm not taking into account Maddison or Barnes because I think we all know that they're going. But players that we keep hold of, I believe, can do a job in the Championship, and with the right players brought in. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to make playoffs. On paper, we'll have a decent team, decent team for the championship anyway. So, but having said that, what do I know about football, mate?
Well, what do any of us know? Do you know what I mean? I had Bournemouth to finish 19th, but in fairness, that was because they had Scott Parker as the manager. So, Josh, thank you. I know you've got to rush off tonight, so I really do appreciate that. Thank you so very much. Thank you for somehow volunteering to be in the quiz. I think volunteer is the right word. And we will speak to you soon. Thank you very much. Love to all of your beautiful family, and we will speak soon.
Bless you, mate. I'll see you again soon, Chris. Looking forward to the quiz, mate.
All the best, mate. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Have a good week, pal.
And you. Bye-bye. Oh, thanks to Josh there. He's had to rush off, but no, I appreciate him coming in. You have to remember Burnley had new owners before they went down to the Championship. They did. Look, we don't know. We're all like that at the moment, aren't we? I'm very much don't think I'm going to be doing a prediction league, as in predicting where all the teams finish, because you've no idea. You've no idea until the transfer window's finished. Managers in and out, it is needle in haystack time. It really is. But talking of the Championship, and in fairness, that's where we are next season. We've got this.
Coming up next on Leicester Till I Die TV.
Yep, coming up next, which is tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I will be joined by Dan, the Burnley fan. As we've just been talking about, great season that they had. Apart from Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich and Plymouth who came up, they know the team. He knows the teams because they played all the teams last season. So we'll be I was going to say picking his brains. I'm not sure if that's the right word or not. Picking certainly is. I'm not sure about the brains. Love you, Dan. But look, yeah, he'll be going through the teams and what we're likely to face and what we're likely to come up against next season. Thanks to Josh. Really appreciate it. If you agree or disagree with anything that we've said on this, please, if you've not done it already, you can add your comments in below into the comments when we have finished. So really do feel free to do that. It is all about your thoughts, etc. And opinions. That's what football is about. Please do, though, ask you if you can do us one favour, like the video, and if you are new and you haven't done, subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out so much. And just by liking the video, it gets us seen on the home pages of people that aren't necessarily subscribing to us already or have even seen the channel. So it all does help us. And why not, for just $1.99 of your good English pounds, become a member. All you got to do is click either next to the edit video bit just there, as you can see, or if you go into the description of each video, there is a link in there. Click on either of those two and you'll be able to join just $1.99. Like I say, next season there will be probably 1 or 2 shows every month that will only be for members. So if you're not a member, you won't get to join in, see it, or anything like that. And don't forget to get on over to what was Top 10 Battles. It is now Leicester Till I Die TV, the quiz channel. It's been renamed, rebranded, and the rebranding's still going on. We've got the painters and decorators in, so but it is up and live now. So get subscribing. That's where all the general quizzes are. Obviously, the Big Fat Leicester quiz is still on this channel, but all the others will be moving over to Brad's, which was Top 10 Battles. And don't worry, if you were subscribed to Brad as Top 10 Battles, you still will be subscribed. Brad's joined us, as in he's become a member. He was a member before, he's become a member, and I really do appreciate that because he's not working, so I really appreciate his support on that. Thank you so very much, Brad. And that's it. I'm going to be on one of my last ever Premier League shows for the time being tonight at 10:15. Get over to Rich Sports when we'll be judging, all the Premier League teams and their season. That's going to be a fun minute. I'm hanging on to this Premier League status by my fingernails. I won't let go. I'm here. I'm still Premier League. Do you know what? Not only am I Premier League,
You know what? I'm Premier League. I am elite. I am proper elite.
No.
I am Grinda.
yes, indeed. And you gotta love it. I'll never stop playing that. Thanks very much, guys. Like, subscribe. I've been Chris. This has been LTID TV, and this is Arnie. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.